So today we talk about sex and the pill. School. What can I say? That's the topic. And a little bit on immigration, and then there's something on the board, and you guys will find out what that's about at the very end. And do you have any questions before I get started? Yeah. We sincerely hope so. The question is, will we be getting the term papers back before the end? Depends on how you define the end. So it's not clear that you'll get them back before the one definition of the end is a week from today. Yeah. Some. I mean, you can start as soon as, I mean, this is not like the midterm. These you can start handing back as you get them done, if you get the first 10 and so on. By the review session, which is 2 weeks from today, that's the goal. Okay. So, which segued me into the review session. Excuse me. The plan is to do the review here in this room on the Thursday of our week in our usual time. I've asked for the room to be extended until 5 o'clock so that if it takes more than an hour and 20 for the review, that the room will be available to us. And so that's the plan. So the 3 GSIs will do a joint review here 2 weeks from today. The final itself, I think we're in slot number 2. So we're the first day at 11:30. Graduating seniors, there's some exit survey they have for you after you graduate. Yeah, they do. And they ask you about your whether you thought RR week was a great idea. And if you think that having 9 days between the last day of class and the first day of finals is a good thing, and that's a good trade-off for having your finals compressed into a 5-day period, then indicate that on your survey. If you would rather have the old trade-off where you have less than 9 days between the last day of class and the first day of finals, but finals are spread out over something a little more humane and civilized, say 7 or 8 days instead of crammed into 5 days, indicate that. So, because the powers that be that I don't trust tell us that the exit surveys say that y'all love having the exams compressed into this 5-day period, and you think that the trade-off with RR week is a fabulous thing. And I don't know, maybe that's true. Is that true? You like it? That's the part that worries me, yeah. Yeah. You do like it, really? Yeah? And do you like having the finals compressed into 5 days? Is it just because I teach Econ 1 and I hear from all the freshmen and that's why I have this feeling that they all hate it? They're freshmen? All right. If you're happy, I'll be happy. I want what you want. So, well, there you go. All right. Well, that's one for Cynthia. Okay. Where were we? We were talking about women's labor force participation rates. And so this was the last graph that I showed you on Tuesday. And this is the one that's in Martha Bailey's article. And it shows you how for women who were born 1940 or before, their labor force participation rates would decline in their 20s and then go back up in their 30s or 40s. But starting with women who were born in the 1950s, that pattern is totally different. So there's something clearly here to explain. There's some sort of generational shift that happens between women who were born before, say, 1950 to 55 to 60, and women who were born after that. A couple other pieces of information just to follow up on what we were doing on Tuesday. There's been a shift in the typical occupations of women. Now this is a little deceptive because this is as we are increasing the number of women in the labor force as a share of the total. So this is a percentage of women's occupations, but remember the total number of women who are in the labor force is really going up. And so this compares over a 100-year period. These are data that are in the handout from last time, which was the stack on the left over there. Bless you. And the couple of, you can look at this any way you want. Professional, huge increase in the share of women who are in professional jobs. A decrease this shows in the share of women that are in service jobs. That switch in service jobs is masking a real move out of domestic service. So back here in 1890, 1900, when 35% of the women were in service jobs, many of those women are domestics. That is to say they're maids. They're doing laundry or they're laundresses, they're maids, something along those lines. And I'm going to show you some pictures, yes, in just a minute that breaks this category out a little bit. Interesting to note the share of women who have manufacturing jobs. So this is not what percentage of people in manufacturing are women, but what percentage of women are in manufacturing. That's going way down, but that's where it's really important to remember that back here, 1890, 1900, there are relatively few women in the labor force. And so those few women who are in the labor force are largely as domestics, or they do have manufacturing jobs. The factories where they made boxes, the factories where they made paper, some of the textile factories were women's jobs. Pretty sure I showed you the chart back when we did labor in the second part of the course that showed the list of occupations that were predominantly male and the list of occupations that were predominantly female. Okay, good, thank you. All right, and the ag labor force has just shrunk completely. Here's a couple pictures I put together. I did not update them beyond 1990 because that thing I mentioned the other day where they changed the classification system and it just gets really nasty and complicated when you try to patch over basically 1998 to 2000 when the data changed. But it still gives you the general idea. The chart on the left is for white women, the chart on the right is for non-white women. These are the numbers of women. The vertical axis is in log so that the slope of the line is giving you the rate of change over time. So if it gets flatter, it's a slower rate of change. The steeper it is, the faster the rate of change. And here in green is the number of women in domestic service. And so you can see first, particularly in the right-hand graph, that the domestic service was the number one occupation for non-white women up through, where am I here, 1960. So the stereotypical black maid is the number one occupation, the top ranked, let me put it that way, the top ranked occupation for non-white women through 1960. For white women, not the same. For white women, starting back here in 1920, the top ranked occupation is clerical and service jobs. So there's a very strong, it's not a topic of this, it's not part of what I'm going to do, take my economics of discrimination class next spring that you have to have econometrics as a prereq to talk about all this wonderful race and gender stuff, but very strong racial differences in occupational categories, particularly for women, also for men, but you can see it particularly here for women. And then you can also pick out here the red boxes are the professional jobs, and so you can see the growth in women who are in professions. The yellow boxes are clerical and sales. What's the other one? The blue is everything else. Not surprisingly, the rise of services and the rise in women's labor force participation rates go hand in hand. So this graph, the blue line is the services as a share of GDP, so the same number that we looked at the other day when we were talking about deindustrialization. And then the two lines here are labor force participation rates for white women and for black women. Let's see, the top line is for black women and the bottom line is for white women. And there's clearly a pretty strong correlation here. As women increase their labor force participation, that's going hand in hand with the rise in services. Another way of saying the same thing is a lot of the jobs that the women who are entering the labor force, a lot of the jobs they're taking are service jobs. Martha Bailey, one little pill. Many people in the room know how this works. For those of you who don't, you ought to. Everybody ought to know how this works. So this is how the pill works. You get a little packet. I'll show you your packet. Got a little packet. some people in the room have it in their backpacks. I could take them out and show you if you can see. And in this packet it used to be a wheel. Is it still a wheel? It's been a long time since I did this. A wheel of 28 pills. And you would take, there's 21 pills that are all the same, and then there's 7 pills that are basically sugar pills. And so there's 28 pills. And so 3 weeks, there you go. There's a packet of pills. So now they're in rows and columns instead of a circle. So you take 1 pill every day, and it prevents you from getting pregnant. The advantage to the pill, there's a whole lot of advantages to the pill. It's the most foolproof method of birth control. So back when we talked about fertility decline in the 19th century, one of the questions somebody raised was whether or not women were able to control their fertility. Certainly the pill increases that ability to control your fertility, unlike any other method that we had before. Second thing is it puts a woman in complete control of fertility decisions. So whether or not she's going to be that's not the word I want. Whether or not she's going to make it possible for her to get pregnant is up to the woman. This is a decision that is up to her as to whether or not she takes this pill. Why? That was odd, wasn't it? Some sort of strange thing. Did it do anything other than just a big black box? Huh. Okay. I'll just be careful with my power cords here. And the other thing is that the pill removes the decision about birth control from the moment of sexual intercourse. So that it's not in the heat of passion that you have to decide whether to grab the diaphragm or whether to grab a condom. The pill is taken either right when you get up in the morning or right before you go to bed at night, and it's completely divorced from the time at which the sexual activity takes place. So that also makes it a much more reliable form of birth control and increases women's ability to control their fertility. So one of the questions then is, has the pill made any difference? So we have all these things that are correlated over time. I just showed you services rising and the rise in women's labor force participation. The pill becomes available in 1960, but initially, if you wanted to get a prescription for the pill, and it's still something you have to get a prescription for, you can't just go in and buy it off the shelf in CVS. You have to have a prescription and get it from the pharmacist. If you wanted to get a prescription for the pill, initially you had to either be at least 21 years old or married. And so if you were a single woman, say, I don't know, let me choose some ages like 18 to 21, does that strike a chord here? You could not get the pill. So college women could not get the pill, just to bring it home. And it wasn't like, but couldn't you go to Tang and get a prescription from Tang? No, they were legally prohibited from prescribing the pill to you unless you were married or over the age of 21. So if you were an 18-year-old freshman and you went down to your college healthcare services and asked them for a prescription for birth control pills, you would not be able to get it. So even though the birth control pill exists starting in 1960, it's not something that single women are able to access. What Martha Bailey figured out was that the year at which you can access the pill, so the early legal access, early being before you are either 21 or married, the year at which this access to the pill became legal varied from state to state. And so this creates, econometrically, this wonderful variation that she can exploit for trying to tease out of the data what's otherwise a time series correlation, where it's pretty hard to figure out what's correlation and what's causation. So the questions that she asked in this article are, did access to the pill affect women's fertility? Did it affect the timing of children? And did it affect the labor market supply decisions that they made? Whoops. There we go. Okay. Certainly the graph that she gives you in the article indicates that something interesting is going on. May 1960 is when the pill is first approved for distribution, and the Planned Parenthood decision that makes access to the pill legal across the country is shown there with the second line in 1976. And then here in the early 1970s is when you see the decline, when you see the variation in the axis. That's on the vertical axis. I don't remember what this graph was. This is showing you the number of first births to women. So it says live first births, so they removed the stillbirths. So live first births to women by age group, and the circles there, those are women ages 20 to 24. The dashes are women ages 18 to 19. This solid line here is ages 15 to 17. The hatch marks are ages 25 to 29. And so when you look in between the two vertical bars, so in between the year in which the pill first became available, but not to young single women, and the second vertical line, which is when people your age could get the pill, still with a doctor's prescription, but nobody said, show me your marriage certificate or I'm not going to give you access to the pill. What we see up there is a decline in the number of births for women, but only in the top 2 age categories. That there's no discernible trend between 60 and 76 in the number of births for 15 to 17-year-olds. There's no discernible trend in the number of births for 25 to 29-year-olds. There is a discernible drop in the number of births for women ages 18 to 24. Yeah, Peter. It would be lovely if the way that the government presented the data to us conformed with things like the laws. So you're right. It would really be nice if these data were, if I could show you instead 18 to 20-year-olds and 21 to 24-year-olds, but that's not the way that the government's gathered the data and published the data. So, Ethan. 1970 is when you first have the early legal access. So it starts on a state by state. There's other stuff going on. The other thing that's happening in 1970 is you're ramping up the war in Vietnam. So there's a lot more guys going off to war. All right. So let's see what we get. So when Martha Bailey did her analysis, and I just summarized a lot of tables and a lot of columns here and left out other variables that we didn't care about. These are what you're looking at again, are the signs of the coefficients and their statistical significance. In parentheses, what's in parentheses on this table? Standard errors. Robust standard errors is just a way of correcting your standard errors to make sure that they are as well estimated as possible. So it means good job. That's all you need to know. All right. So if the early access, so ELA is early legal access. So this means were women who were unmarried and not yet 21 able to get the pill? And if when a state made early legal access possible, if this mattered, it should only matter to fertility of women who are not yet 21. Because if you were 22, you were able to get access to the pill, whether you were married or single. Now, there's a little bit of diciness here because if you give birth in the first 3 months, no, you can get the pill when you were 21. Yeah, so 22 is good. Never mind, forget that. I was doing my math wrong. So you can get the pill when you were 21, whether you were married or not. And so if you look at births for women age 22, right, those are women who had access to the pill for at least the full 9 months before their 22nd birthday. So if access to the pill makes... Oh, I know what I'm doing. Sorry. Don't look at the chart yet. I turned myself inside out because I've got the word before here. If access to the pill, here we go. If early access to the pill makes a difference, that early access was for women who were 18, 19, 20, or 18, 19, or 20 years old. And so that should impact whether or not they had their first baby. No, I'm not saying this right. Let me try this again. If you have early access to the pill, that means you have access to the pill when you're 18, 19, or 20 years old. If you don't have access to the pill, then you may have a baby when you're in your late teens, early 20s. If you do have access to the pill and you don't want to get pregnant, then you're likely to not get pregnant, right, until sometime after that 18, 19 to 20-year-old period. And if the pill makes a difference, then you should be able to see a decline in the number of births to women who are in that 18 to 21-year-old bracket once they get access to the pill. Yeah. that's what I wanted to say. You shouldn't necessarily see any change in the number of live births for women who are under 18 because these laws still did not permit the pill to be prescribed to women who were under 18. So it wasn't with early legal access. It didn't mean that when you were 14 you could go to the local clinic and get a doctor to prescribe the pill for you. You still had to be at least 18 in order to get prescribed the pill. All right. So the group that is in the first column, do they have their first birth before the age of 22? This is the group you would expect would be affected by early access to the pill. The group in the second column, do you have your first birth before you're 19? Whether or not people who are 18, 19, and 20 years old had access to the pill or not shouldn't make any difference to whether or not you give birth before you're 19, because that's a decision that was made before you had access to the pill one way or the other. So whether you lived in California or you lived in a state that had very late access, that's not going to make any difference in terms of the likelihood that you could be on the pill and therefore avoid getting pregnant. Age 36, women who are age 36, they had access to the pill from 1960 on. And so getting early legal access, that is being a state where the 18, 19, and 20-year-olds, college students, could get access to the pill, that shouldn't impact what's happening for 36-year-olds in terms of when they have their first baby. So we ought to, if this works, we ought to get statistically significant effects in the first column and no statistically significant effects in the second and the third columns. That if access to the pill makes a difference, if when you're in college and you can get the pill, you therefore are choosing not to get pregnant while you're in college, so you don't have to drop out and have a baby and the whole thing like that, then we should see that in the women who are in that college age bracket, and it won't matter what you're doing in college age, it doesn't matter to what's happening to the teenagers who are left behind, kids who are high school students now. It doesn't matter to old farts who are in their 30s. What do we get? Here we go. Baruch. I'm going to show you the average age of marriage in a few minutes, but it does not go above 36, that's for sure. Okay, she controls for it. Thank you very much. Oh, yeah, right. So that rise in, yeah, okay. So Rachel has better memory than I. Thank you very much. Doesn't matter. Here we go. Column 1, first number. Put a star on it, yes or no? Yep. Going across. 11 over 37. Does that get a star, yes or no? 1 over 31. Does that get a star? No. Next column. The next question is, do you have access to abortion? Maybe this isn't about the pill at all. Maybe this is about whether or not women can have abortions. 74 over 57. Is that statistically significant, yes or no? Nope. 86 over 45. Close, but not quite. 6 over 6? Nope. Last row is women who had access both to the pill and to abortion. First one, does it matter? 57 over 82. Nope. 2 over 65. 5 over 8. Nope. So the only number that's statistically significant here is the one in the upper left-hand corner. That's good. That means that early legal access to the pill impacted the fertility behavior, that is the number of births for women who were college age, who had that early legal access, didn't have any impact on the younger women who didn't have access to the pill unless they were married, and didn't have any access to the older women who had access to the pill all the way along because they were over 21. That having early legal access, that is being in a state in which college-aged women could get the pill, whether or not they were married, meant that college-aged women had fewer babies. Does it affect the total number of children that they ever have? That's the last column. So, first number, 62 over 86, statistically significant, yes or no? Nope. Which tells you that having early access to the pill is not affecting how many children women have, it's affecting the timing. That if they want to have 2 kids, they have 2 kids. If they want to have 3 kids, they have 3 kids, but they don't have them when they're in college. The pill means you can focus on your classes, and you can focus on your finals, and you can focus on other things, and you don't have to focus on how you're going to tell your parents and whether you're going to be able to buy diapers and all of those things that tend to mess up the ability to, doesn't end, but for many women messes up the ability to finish college. What about access to abortion? Does access to abortion change the number of children ever born, yes or no? Yeah. So that one, right. So early access to abortion, good point, Peter. Early access to abortion, in states in which there was early legal access to abortion, completed family sizes were larger, not smaller. I don't know. That's where you were going, right? Yeah, I don't know. All right. What about effect on labor force participation rate and the number of hours that people work? Here what Bailey does is she looks at those women who had early legal access to the pill who are now in various age bins. So let's look at people who are now 21 to 25 who had early legal access to the pill and compare them with women who are now 21 to 25 who didn't have early access to the pill. And then let's also look at, second row, women who are now 26 to 30 who did have early legal access, who could get the pill when they were college age, and compare them with 26 to 30-year-old women who couldn't get the pill when they were college age. And let's look at third row, women who are now 31 to 35, and compare the women who are 31 to 35 now who did have access to the pill when they were in college age with those women who did not have access to the pill when they were college age. I'm trying to be careful and say college age because I'm not saying that this sample is all women who went to college, but it's the college age. Okay, what do we get? Are they in the labor force? Where do we get a statistical significant effect? No. Yes, 42 over 6. In fact, that's a nice big t-stat of 7. 19 over 6. Yep, that matters. 2 over 6, 3 over 8. None of those matter. So whether or not a woman is in the labor force matters. No, that's not how I want to say it. Whether or not a woman had early access to the pill matters to labor force participation decisions when they are 26 to 35. So women 26 to 35 who had access to the pill when they were college age are more likely to be in the labor force than women 26 to 35 who did not have access to the pill when they were college age. Doesn't matter for women once they're past 36, and didn't affect women 21 to 25. But if we go back and look at that first picture, whoops, wrong button. Go to slide, age specific. So right here, the women who are 26 to 35 years old, if they live in states in which college-age women had access to the pill, they're more likely to be in the labor force in that 26 to 35-year-old range than if they lived in states in which college-age women did not have access to the pill. It seems to make a difference. And then this last column is annual hours. Does early access when you're 18,